Hey there, I am out in the garden and thought I would take a moment to give you a new garden tour for this year since we haven't had one yet, and wanted to show you some new things we've got going on and a couple different things I did this year and see if we can get some better results. But been promising this video, and sorry it took me a minute, but I have had a lot to do with the garden this year. Let me turn around and start showing you what we got going. So I'm sitting over in the little corner up at the front, and this is the garden bed that greets me when I first come in. And here on the right you'll see the lavender that I pruned last fall on a video for you, and it looks okay. They do say lavender gets woody, which mine is, and I think this plant is 3 years old now, so we'll see what it does. I've got nasturtiums planted there and Mama's irises that I put right here in the middle. I'm glad we split them, Mom. As I said, yours are doing beautiful, and I'm very happy, and it was time for me to get them out of that pot they had been in since 2008, I think, when I got them from her house. And I put them here. Thought when I first come into the garden, I can grab Mama and bring her along on my little gardening for the day, and it kind of helps me to ground me, and I enjoy seeing her greet me when I come in. So another lavender plant and a raspberry bush, black raspberry, which, as you know, I have all over the property. One self-seeded, I think a bird or something, and then one my friend Lisa gave me, and it wound up here. Didn't mean for it to, but this is where they ended, and that's where they'll be for now unless I decide to pull them out. But they are getting berries on them, and we'll have plenty of those, and these shoots will give berries next year. So over here, starting around the corner, we've got sun gold cherry tomatoes and some basil, a couple little marigolds. This pot's going to go out on my picnic table, but I wanted it to fill in a little bit more before I take it out there, otherwise the chickens will just get in it. Have a few cucumbers there. My onions, I got those down from Mazurant Farm, and I believe he said they were called Texas sweet onions, so we'll see, but I planted them all right there. My Roma tomatoes go next, and all of that's been started from seed, so some of them have struggled. I don't really have the greatest setup for seeds, but seed starting, but it is what it is. So I bought some more spearmint this year, well, mint, and this is spearmint. I put in this pot. As you know, I've got apple mint back in that back corner, and I'm not really crazy about it. I don't use it much. I do harvest, and I'll throw it in the chicken coop and things like that, but I don't really use it for anything. It tastes okay, but it's not anything great. I don't know if anybody's watching this and has some ideas for apple mint, let me know, because I feel like I waste it. But I planted some spearmint here, and that's what I'll be using for some of my mint recipes. Like I said, all these are Romas here, and I've got cucumbers here that are planted, white cucumbers. They're little muncher ones. Those will come up over the trellis. And my garlic, it's done fabulous this year, and I did give it some fertilizer early spring, and they really started to shoot off and take on really good, so I should have a pretty good garlic harvest this year. My cloves should be pretty decent size. They look like they're going to be. And I've got my beautiful wind spinner. I did end up leaving it up for the winter, and I will say I enjoyed looking out the family room window and seeing it spin around and stuff, and the little light at night. So it didn't look like it took too much of a beating over the winter. So I do have to figure out hooking it up a little bit better, but it's definitely a eye catcher for me, and I enjoy it. So thank you, Mom. My little rock garden down there from my residence at my last building, and I enjoy seeing that and remembering some of the things with them. Planted a few little flowers around them, but you can see how big some of these garlic stalks are. So there's my thumb, and don't mind how dirty my nails are. I've been in the dirt today. But that's how big some of them are. I don't even know if that's the biggest one, but those will be coming out, I think, usually around July. These metal containers are new to the garden this year. I got them last year, never got them planted in, but I moved them out here. I do struggle with squash vine borer in my regular garden beds. So beans, this is fresh soil. I planted my zucchinis here, and along the front, you see my grandson. He planted some bushel gourds. So he has two little areas in the garden that are his, and we'll see what they do. But we got the zucchini there, and I'll show you what's in the other one when we get around. But here I planted some red noodle beans that I saved from last year. A few of them, I don't know if it's been a squirrel or something getting in here. Rabbit. I can't believe it's a rabbit because I think everything would have been destroyed at this point. But something's definitely eaten some of them, but they're growing. I've got jalapeno peppers here, black crimson tomatoes. This here is actually a weed, and I got something I'll show you that I've harvested and done with this already this year. So this is what's called Cleavers. I don't know if you're familiar with it or not, but it is a weed slash medicinal herb, but grows wild. And this one I left because I wanted to show you the plant, and also it does reseed itself and comes back. It might be a little bit too late to harvest at this point, but I harvested every spring when the Cleavers comes up. It is good for your lymphatic system. It helps drain out the excess fluids and things in your body, so it's kind of like a diuretic. And it also is supposed to help restore your liver. So not flush out your liver or anything, but it helps to restore your liver. So I've read up on that a little bit. I am still getting into that, as you know, but I made a concoction. I'll show you that. I've got some out here, and I'll show you what I did with that when we get around. But that's called Cleavers. I've got my pole beans coming up over there. Those were seeds that I took from my plants last year, and they're starting to pop up. Some peppers over there. I think those are just like munching peppers, sweet peppers. And I've got a few, these are onions that came back from last year, so I did not plant these this year. One little one, two okay size one. This one looks like it's going to be pretty big, so that'll be good. This one's struggling a little bit. It's smaller, as you can see, and then this one's really tiny. I don't know if we'll get anything out of that. But more peppers. These are bell peppers. And then over here, I don't know how these are going to do, but these are loofah gourds. As you remember, last year I grew loofah gourds and then had that basket of loofahs for everybody at Christmas time that were decorated. But these, Joy started for me down in Florida back in, I think, February, and she brought them up here, and they have struggled. I just got them out because we've had nights that have been down in the low 40s, so I was worried to get them out, but they're struggling. So we'll see. I'll know in the next week or so if they take off really good. But I planted them all here on this side and on that side over here, so this whole trellis will be all loofah gourds if they make it. Here I've got my strawberry patch, which is done beautiful. I've got all kinds of strawberries coming in. They're all green. I haven't seen any ripe ones yet, but lots of green. It's starting to put off some runners too, which I'm thankful for, because I do want to fill up my green stalks with strawberry plants up by the house. But lots of strawberries coming in, so I'm excited for those this year. Here's where some Cleavers was that I harvested, and that's growing back a little bit. So over here, so these two smaller metal ones, I put my blueberry bushes in. If you recall from last year, I originally wanted to put them in these, and I ran out of time and didn't get their stands built, so I just put them in the garden bed up there. But the tomatoes overtook them pretty bad, but they lived and they survived, so I Put 2 on this side and then 2 on that side over there in that metal one. Here I've got my rhubarb that I transplanted at the end of the season last year into the garden, and something's been eating the leaves. I came out and looked several times. I did find, I think it was like a worm underneath one, but I spread some food grade diatomaceous earth down there, and hopefully that will take care of it. But it's really growing. It's multiplying. I haven't harvested any yet. Just kind of letting it get really good and established, I guess. But it did start to flower earlier, late spring, and I pulled the flowering piece off. So here is my oxeye in the corner. I was going to transplant half of this year, but I didn't get to it in time, and I think it might be spreading. Not 100% sure that's what all these little shoots are, but I'm going to leave them. I didn't want to pull them up in case that's what it is. That's kind of what it looks like to me. So we'll see what those do. I had a rogue bean pop up here, so I'll leave her be too. My chicken coop, don't even look at that. I've got to get out there and get that cleaned up today. More of the loofah gourds I put back here. I don't know. We'll see how they do. She did a whole bunch of them, and I hope they take off, but I'll tell her next year not to worry about that, because I think transitioning from Florida to Michigan did not do them justice. Here's my sage and my mint that I was talking about that comes back every year. I've got a couple tomato plants here. I've got my oregano, which I've done a big harvest off of not too long ago, and got that drying. Got another tomato. These are pineapple tomatoes all through here, and those get big, huge, yellow, like beefsteak or big ones. Good ones. Can't wait. Here's the rest of Henry's little garden area. He's got sunflowers, Ozark peppers, and golden midget watermelons. So I've been trying to keep it watered so the seeds will germinate, but I'm not 100% sure if they're going to or not at this point. So over here I planted butternut squash. Now I know there's quite a few plants there, but again, this is my first year with this soil, so I figured I wouldn't have the squash vine borer in this soil yet. So I wanted to get some of the squashes that I know that I can't grow in my other ones, in my other beds. So more tomatoes. I've got eggplant this year that I have not done in quite some time. So I've got 3 eggplant plants right there, and some straight 8 cucumbers that I did from seed. I also did over there from seed some gherkin, watermelon gherkin, Mexican sour gherkin. That's what they were. But none of them seeded, so those won't be coming in. But over here in this pot, I have some silver dollar eucalyptus. So I'm going to try to grow that this year and see how that does. And peas, I've had these in since early spring. I put peas there and there. And those were some garlics that came back from last year. And I've got a couple of cherry tomato plants back there and some chives up here. So that's that. And in this little container I did some helichrysum seeds. Nothing has come up. I just did them a couple days ago, so I'm not germinate or not, but we're gonna try it. So this is my Cleavers tea. So what I did was I harvested the branches off, I cleaned them really good, and I put them in the filtered water, and I set them outside in the sun for a whole day, and then I put them in the refrigerator. So they've been in the refrigerator a couple days. I did start drinking it yesterday, day before yesterday, and we'll see. I don't know. I've never done it before, but a lot that I've read online made sense to me, and you know, I think God gives us things in nature to help heal our body and make us feel better, and this is something I think, you know, we're supposed to do in the springtime, and God gave us Cleavers for a reason. So I'm going to try to utilize the benefits of it and see what happens. But anyways, there was a quick garden tour for you. More to come. like I said, the new things this year, we've got the metal pots that I put out here, a couple of the big plant pots that I put like the mint and the eucalyptus in, and I'll bring those in the winter time and put them in the shed, and then they should come back next year. But little different style of planting where I put my, or spacing of my plants and stuff. Obviously lots of tomatoes this year. I did run out of all of my canned tomatoes. Must have just used a lot this year compared to some previous years, but I used all of them, and I had some tomatoes that were in my deep freeze that actually weren't from last year. They were from the year before. And I took them and I processed them all, and I got 3 quarts of tomato juice and a pint of tomato juice out of it, and nothing was freezer burned or anything, so they seem fine. So like I said, it was in my deep freeze, and that was from 2024 garden. So cleaning the deep freeze out. I still got some peppers in there. I don't know what I'm gonna do with those yet, but we'll see. And so lots of tomatoes this year, because I do need to restock up my canned tomatoes. But anyways, that's the garden tour, and until next time, I hope you are doing well and enjoying your journey, and take care. Talk to you soon.